Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Great to have you along. Jordan Woodruff with you. And today we're joined by head wrestling girls coach, Richard Agee. And Coach, good to have you here. And I kind of want to start it out, and we'll go through let's start it out with kind of celebrating our state qualifier. You were able to get Marley Arbona qualified. I know state didn't go quite the way she wanted, but at the same time, she was dominant all year long and very proud of what she accomplished.
Yeah, Marley had 34 wins. She had over 70 takedowns. She scored the most team points on the team. Did a lot of good things, and we have a lot of girls that are right there with her. She kind of carries the team on her shoulders at times. But yeah, our state performance, health issues this time of the year, those things pop up. At the regional tournament, Marley, I felt like wrestled the best I'd ever seen her. We had several girls that actually wrestled the best that I ever seen them wrestle. The regional tournament being a one-day tournament and those girls being pushed on time limits and number of matches they're allowed to wrestle in a day. They went over the rules, the regular rules. But yeah, Marley and several of the girls really wrestled well. They just run out of steam at the end of the day.
Yeah, and let's talk about that adversity. Remember, those regionals supposed to be 2 days. We have a snowstorm come in, and they readjusted the boys where they moved later in that week to kind of they adjusted some times and everything. They did wrestle an extra one, but they didn't have to wrestle more than 6 in a day, which is what they usually strive for. Well, with the girls, they had one opportunity, get it in with just that one day. And on top of that, the boys' regions only have 16 teams in those regions. Well, the way girls wrestling is right now, you only have 2 classifications. So there's more teams in a region, so that makes it even more because you have more wrestlers. So It was really a lot of adversity. And, asking girls to wrestle and even asking the boys to wrestle 8 in a day, that's a lot.
Yeah, we in the West region, we had 38 teams represented there, and the East region, they had 30. I mean, right there's you're putting them in a 36-man bracket. It's tough to do that in one day.
Yeah, and not only that, we've grown this sport now where there's not as many buys as you thought there would have been maybe been a few years ago. Like
right.
Sometimes you have that many people, you have a 36-team person bracket. Used to, maybe if you did girls, there'd be 18 buys. Not the case anymore.
Yeah, to get a full bracket back 2 or 3 years ago, to get a full bracket, you might have to invite 40 teams just to get a 16-man bracket or
yeah.
So the numbers are growing. Regionals are getting bigger and bigger, and I think I'd like to see them either go to another class or split the regions, maybe make a third region. A lot of times, and right now, and I'm not poking at anybody or any situation, but a lot of times we want to model it after what the boys program looks like. And girls wrestling is in infancy stages still. I mean, we're out by this point, we can call it a toddler stage, but it doesn't have to be modeled after what the boys programs look like. It could be a little bit different, and to step out there and accommodate the numbers growing so fast, and I mean, there's some things that could be done different.
Yeah, and we're talking about the growth of the sport, and we've talked about that many times over not only with you, but with athletic director Joe as well, Joe Turner, about how the growth is and how the numbers keep coming in, not just here, but across the state. And with that, one thing, a lot of these girls, some of these boys across the state have been wrestling since they were 6 years old.
Right.
With these girls, a lot of them have just stepped into it in the last couple of years. So you do see a difference out there, and sometimes it makes it more exciting for me to watch because the girls, maybe the technique, it's a little bit behind a lot of the guys and what they're doing right now. But you're seeing that grow each and every year, and you're seeing these girls, the excitement and the celebrations they have are some of the best that there is when they're at the state tournament.
Yeah, fundamentals are pretty sound with a lot of the girls. The technique is getting better and better. I see that just in the 2 years I've been coaching the girls program. You watch those girls; they're hitting some very complicated moves. I mean, it's getting better, and it's getting better fast.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed, and like I said, you're working on them. To be really good, you can't just have one move.
Right.
And that's something that I see sometimes, and you see it as well. Not just here, but that's everywhere. And once again, that's not having the reps that you've had. You know, girls like, hey, my one move's an inside trip. One move's a headlock. That's what they're looking
Yeah.
for. But expanding that's where you get them to be better wrestlers.
Right.
And that's what you've been working on, is expanding those techniques, those fundamentals, to make them, baseball, we call it the 5-tool player, right?
Right.
Right? You need to be like that in wrestling if you want to achieve and get to that podium as first place in any tournament. You got to get that way.
Yeah, and if you just got one move, you can still win. You just better be real good at it. Be able to take everybody down with it.
Yeah.
But, we have 27 moves that we drill on daily. I mean, some coaches are like, oh, that's too much. But it puts them in different situations. And maybe we don't focus on the beginning of this move, but let's focus on the finish. Now, let's get to some chain wrestling. This person's going to sprawl. They're going to do this. We're going here. So the working a lot of moves on a daily basis, I think, is what has helped us come the distance that we've come in a short amount of time.
Well, and you mentioned toddler stage, and I think that's pretty interesting you say that, because it's not in the infancy, it's in the toddler stage now. And with that, I mean, I got a 4-year-old, so I understand a little bit. You're trying to teach them the world a little bit, and that's the same. And that goes back with something I talked to Coach Moore about in another episode, was the wrestling IQ.
Right.
And if you haven't been doing this a long time, that IQ, it becomes instinctual, right? It's something on the mat that this happens, it's instinct. I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to react to it. And that was something I thought this year at the state tournament, watching girls wrestling overall, I thought the wrestling IQ was at a lot higher level compared to what it was a year ago. And man, that is just growing exponentially, I think, with these girls the more they wrestle.
Yeah, absolutely. We go over situations, everybody does situational drilling and situations on the mat, and we've gotten even to the point that, hey, my foot's on the line, it's 7 steps backwards before I step out of bounds. I can't go 7 steps. There's just a lot of different things that we work on and that are being worked on. The IQ of the sport and girls is absolutely, it's getting better and better. We don't have girls who have wrestled in youth programs. We have girls that are starting in junior high. I think the youngest girls I have in the room are 12. But I think our junior high program has really come a long way this year. Finishes above some top teams in the state. And I have to look at why that is, and that's because I'm coaching that high school program, and we push those junior high girls to do exactly what the high school is doing. So they're getting pushed a little bit harder. They're learning a little more technique, focusing on the fundamentals, and I think the junior high program is coming along. Numbers are okay. We're not quite where I'd like to be, but it's getting better.
Well, and that's maybe the next thing to mention, and maybe that's the next step of things. But, most of these girls didn't get to start till junior high unless they're going and wrestling against boys, right, at a very, very young age, which I'm sure, like the roller girl that was a 4-time, her brothers were pretty darn good wrestlers too, right? Yeah. So she's probably wrestling against boys her whole life, and that's probably where they get that.
And she's tough.
Yeah, she's really tough. The youth side of things, is that something that we're going to see maybe grow on the women's side of the sport? And then also, we're talking about on the high school level, but is that one of the next things that we're going to see, is maybe, the 7 and 8-year-old girls going to have a chance to go wrestle against other girls, not just have to wrestle against boys?
I'm trying. We've put feelers out there. The school has jumped in and asked, trying to help us find another assistant. We're trying put more girls on the mat. Coach Arbona and myself, we're spread pretty thin, just a high school team and a junior high team. I've got a whole nother junior high team that we need another coach that can travel with them and take them to tournaments and stuff. And every year that we don't have another coach in there, it just keeps the program from growing a little bit more. If I can get 15 or 14 girls out on the mat, going to a tournament, getting their own duels, that part of the program is getting better. But it's just, it's tough getting people to want to come to Ponca City and coach. it's a long ways from everywhere.
Yeah, and
That's what a lot of people think.
yeah, but once they get here, they seem to like it.
Oh, yeah,
So
I love this place.
that's usually the way it ends up. And I mean, that's a sentiment that all the coaches, even like yourself, have. Once they get here, they really do fall in love with the place. So let's talk about the other thing with, I think, the boys' side of wrestling is they go right in from their state stuff that's sanctioned to freestyle.
Yep.
Is there any avenues like that as far as girls wrestling is concerned, or is that something that needs to be grown as well?
Well, when the girls wrestle, when I was on the boys' side, we looked at freestyle as, hey, this is practice for the winter wrestling. We get more matches in, we can grow, we can get better, get more matches in. You can get 40, 50 matches over summer. You can, depending on your dedication, what level you want to go to. We've had some girls that just did some local stuff, and then we've had some girls that did some stuff nationally. And so we're when we got back from state tournament, we turned our gear in and we started. First thing we did was maxed every girl on in the weight room, see where they're at, and then we started on the mat. Started working on freestyle stuff, setups for takedowns and tilts, and transitioning from one thing to another. And there was 243 days until season starts. So 243 days. If I can get 1% better each day, man, we're gonna try to get better every single day. So we're traveling. Last year I hauled Tony and I and some parents helped us out. We hauled 20 girls around to 9 different tournaments.
Yeah.
And man, we got stuff like that on the drawing board. We're working towards getting these girls to go freestyle. But like I said, the boys use that as kind of their propel them into season, and the girls have to have that freestyle because that's where they're getting evaluated by college coaches, because college wrestling for girls is freestyle.
Yeah, right.
So you still see some college coaches at the state tournament, but man, you go to freestyle tournaments and there's college coaches in the corners watching. They're looking for those freestylers.
Well, and they get to see.
We have to teach freestyle.
They get to see 60, 70 schools represented when they go to a tournament like that, or even more. So it's really a great conglomerate of. They get to watch everybody, and you never know when you may catch one's eye.
Right. So we're definitely going to push the freestyle. I think we'll have more than 20 girls that'll travel, and we'll put on the schedule. We'll try to do 9 tournaments again and see how many we can get on national teams, and it's just part of growing, trying to get better.
Well, and with the boys, it's always Fargo, right? That's where you want to end up.
Right.
So, is there girls? Do they have an equivalent Fargo, or what?
Yes, Marley qualified for Fargo last year, and there was on the 2 days they had the Fargo tournament, there was 2,500 girls.
Wow.
On, gosh, I think it was 36 mats in the Fargo Dome. If you haven't been to that,
it's unreal. I've heard.
You could our big house, you could put 2 or 3 of them in there.
Yeah, you're talking about 36 mats. I mean, that's huge. That is huge. So Broken Arrow's trying to give them a run for their money, though, with their wrestling room, though, right?
Yeah, their wrestling room, the square footage is bigger than our indoor facility.
I know, it's crazy what they have.
It's a space race with the big schools.
Yeah. All right, now let's get into what are you talked a little bit what we're working on, but talk about who you're hoping to maybe make some strides before you go into next year, and what your goals are once you get to next year.
Well, I got some girls that really, my 3 seniors, things just didn't go the way we had hoped for them. They still worked hard. They still wrestled well, and they represented the team. And
they still helped build a foundation of what's to come.
Absolutely. That's the foundation. Those girls have been in this program since day one. So my seniors, are very appreciative of them and what they brought to the table and helped with the program. We're going to miss them. We've got Fiona Schalk at one of the upper weights, and I think she's just right there. She won twice as many matches this year as she did last year. We've got a new girl who's a freshman that jumped in the lineup a little bit, Breeley Welch. 145, 155 this year are coming up. She's a jiu-jitsu boy. I don't want to get in I don't want her to put me in a chokehold. She's strong and
don't have to worry about the competitive edge with her.
No. She wants to win. Go down to Breeley Brinley Stoll, and Brinley's a freshman in the lineup, and she won some good matches. She's got a couple girls that she beat this year that went to the state tournament. But she's just got to learn that wrestling IQ we was talking about. She's just got to learn how to manage those matches and finish them. You got Oakley Hunt. Oakley, I feel like we were denied this year. She wrestled 8 matches at the state tournament and still couldn't get in. And by the end of the day, after 8 matches, anybody'd be wore out. But
I'm worn out after calling one. That's not even wrestling.
so that's one of our focuses is that we're not going to be denied again. She's a junior this year, and me and her talked, and they always hear those voices,
No matter what they throw at us, they're not denying us, right?
Yeah. It's hard to stay with something when your goal is the success at this level, but you just can't get to it. It's hard not to walk away from it.
Yeah.
But Oakley is a very tough competitor, and that's our focus, is not to be denied.
Okay.
Then we got a 115-pound spot that we're looking at trying to fill. I got a couple girls that can be in there. Then we got Marley. Same thing. We got to be on a mission. We cannot be denied this year. Now I got a bunch of little girls that are coming up that are going to fit into those lower weights.
So you're excited about what you got?
I'm excited. I think we fill some more weights this year. I'm doing kind of a recruitment thing down at the middle school level, and we've got a lot of little girls coming up, and then we've got, I don't want to say upper weights. We got some upper weight girls coming up. I just see the team getting fuller and fuller and fuller.
Yeah, this year just another step in the maturation of this program, and now you're trying to go from toddler to the next step, I guess, is the best way to put it. I love that analogy, Coach. Hey, really appreciate the time. Best of luck to you guys getting prepared, and looking forward to seeing what next year holds, even though we got to wait a little ways to get there.
Well, we've got a few days, and we're gonna start pushing for freestyle. Looking at trying to do some little fundraisers. We did some last year, sold a little bit of freeze-dried candy, and that kind of helped offset some costs for the girls freestyle. And we've got some fundraisers coming up. And
so be looking for those.
And I feel like these are it's kind of the difference in having a grilled cheese sandwich for dinner or going down to Rusty Barrel and having a steak. So we're going to push and see if we can't propel this program a little bit.
Nothing against grilled cheese, but the steak, especially Rusty Barrel, that's even better. So,
yeah.
Hey, Coach, really appreciate the time.
All right.
I want to say thanks to Coach Richard Agee. Thanks to Chris behind the camera. That's going to do it for today's Coach's Corner. Until next time, Jordan Woodruff saying, Go Cats.